All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back again for another deep dive into some fascinating research.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at something that, well, I mean, let's face it, it's kind of running all of our lives these days,
Yeah.
social media. But specifically, we're going to be talking about the impact it has on our mental health.
It's a big one.
It is a big one. And, it's kind of a two-sided coin, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, on the one hand, you've got the connecting with people, building communities, finding support.
Yeah, finding your tribe.
Exactly. But then, there's the flip side. The comparisons, the negativity, the doom
Also,
scrolling.
the rabbit hole.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to be digging into today. So we've got a bunch of research excerpts here, and we're going to try to unpack it all, see what the experts are saying.
Yeah, gonna look at the good, the bad, and the
The ugly.
the ugly. That's the one.
All right, so let's jump right in. Now, one of the things that really popped out from the research was the role of social media in building these online support groups for mental health.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
It is. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, especially nowadays, there's still so much stigma around mental health.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable talking about it openly,
Right.
but online, it's different. There's this kind of anonymity.
Right.
So people can connect with others who are going through similar things, share their experiences, get advice, all without having to, put themselves out there in person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the research actually mentioned some specific examples like Instagram and Reddit.
Oh, yeah, those are big ones.
They've got these huge communities dedicated to mental health.
Yeah, and it's not just sharing memes and stuff.
Right.
There are some really serious, in-depth discussions going on there.
Yeah, I was reading about this one guy. He was saying, he lives in this tiny town, no therapists for miles.
Wow.
And he found this online group, and they meet up virtually every week, do these mindfulness exercises together.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, he said it's been life-changing for him.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's that sense of community, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I think, especially with everything that's been going on, the pandemic, the lockdowns,
Right, yeah.
these online communities have become even more important, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We were all stuck at home, isolated, cut off from our usual support systems.
Right.
Social media, it became this lifeline for a lot of people, a way to stay connected, to feel like they weren't alone.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Have you personally ever come across any of these positive impacts of social media on mental health?
I actually have. A friend of mine, she was going through a really tough time, postpartum depression.
Oh, what?
And she found this online group for new moms. And it was amazing just seeing those other women going through the same thing, sharing their stories, offering support.
It's powerful.
It really is. It made her realize she wasn't alone and that there was hope,
Yeah, yeah. It's like that validation, that shared experience.
It's not.
It can make all the difference.
Mhm.
But okay, so we've talked about the good, the sunny side of social media.
Right.
Now it's time to get into the not so sunny side.
Yeah, buckle up.
Because the research also paints a pretty stark picture of the negative impacts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to unpack here. I mean, we're talking about things like social comparison, cyberbullying, even addiction.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
It is. So where do we even begin?
Well, maybe let's start with social comparison because that seems to be a big one.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It is. And I think it's kind of baked into how social media works, You're constantly bombarded with these picture-perfect images.
Right, the highlight reel.
Exactly. Everyone's vacations, their perfect bodies, their amazing relationships.
And they're perfectly filtered self.
But don't forget the filters. But the thing is, it's all so curated, so fake.
Yeah, it's not real life.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But our brains, they don't always see that, We start comparing ourselves to these unrealistic standards, and it can really mess with our self-esteem.
Totally. I mean, I know I've definitely fallen into that trap before.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You scroll through Instagram and you're like, why doesn't my life look like that?
Right. Why aren't I that skinny, that successful, that happy?
Exactly. And it can be really, really damaging.
It can. It can lead to anxiety, depression, body image issues, all sorts of stuff.
And then there's cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a whole other level of awful.
Ugh. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is. And the research was pretty clear that this is a serious issue.
It is, and it's so pervasive, It can happen anywhere, on any platform.
Right.
And it's often hidden, It's not out in the open.
It's insidious.
It is. And the effects can be devastating. I mean, we're talking about, real emotional distress, social withdrawal, anxiety, depression.
And in some cases, even suicide.
Yeah, it's that serious.
It's terrifying. And it really highlights the importance of, like, talking to young people about this stuff, you know?
Absolutely. Teaching them how to be safe online, how to recognize cyberbullying, how to report it.
Yeah, because it's not going away anytime soon.
No, it's not. And then, there's the whole issue of social media addiction.
No, that's a big one.
It is. And it's tricky because it's not always easy to recognize.
Right, because it's not like a substance abuse issue.
No, but it can be just as addictive.
Yeah.
That constant checking for notifications, the endless scrolling, the need to be constantly connected.
The fear of missing out, the FOMO.
Yeah, the FOMO. And it's all designed to keep us hooked,
It is. The algorithms, the notifications, the dopamine hits.
Exactly. It's like a slot machine in your pocket.
It is. And the research actually found a direct link between excessive social media use and sleep problems.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So how does that work?
Well, it's partly the blue light, the light emitted from our phones.
Right.
It messes with our melatonin production, which is the hormone that helps us sleep.
Ah, I see.
So even if you're not, actively on your phone right before bed, the stimulation from earlier in the day can still be affecting your sleep.
Wow, that's crazy. And then there's the mental aspect, right? Like, even if you put your phone down,
Yeah, your mind's still racing, thinking about all the stuff you saw online.
the comparisons,
Yeah.
the FOMO, the everything.
Exactly. And it can be really hard to switch off.
It is. So, okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media's impact on mental health.
Right.
It really does seem like a double-edged sword.
It is. And I think that's the key takeaway here. It's not about demonizing social media.
Right.
It's about understanding its power, both positive and negative, and using it in a way that's healthy for us.
I love that. So how do we do that? How do we find that balance?
Well, it's all about self-awareness, paying attention to how social media makes you feel.
Right.
If it's making you feel anxious, depressed, inadequate, then maybe it's time. Step back, take a break.
Yeah, set some boundaries.
Exactly. Limit your time online, curate your feeds, unfollow accounts that make you feel bad.
And focus on the connections that actually matter, the ones that make you feel good.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, social media, it's just a tool. It's up to us to decide how we use it.
So true. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with something to ponder, a
Yeah.
question to take away with them.
Okay. I like it.
Knowing all this, the good, the bad, the potential for both harm and healing, how can we each use social media in a way that actually enhances our well-being?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. It's not about giving it up entirely.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that place where it adds value to our lives without taking away from our mental health.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It is, but it's a challenge worth tackling.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you all learned something.
Yeah, me too.
And until next time, take care.
See ya.